Now, if you'll sit back for a moment, really sit back, loosen your collar, and look at this marvelous, electrified web we've spun around ourselves, you'll see a most peculiar thing happening. We are no longer just people using tools. We have become the very process of the network itself. In the old days, if we can call a decade ago old, we treated the internet like a library or a private diary. But for the new generation, the digital world is not a location you visit. It is an environment you inhabit, as inseparable from the self as the air is from the lungs. We find ourselves in a transition from what I might call the static self to the flowing self. You see, the early architecture of social media was all about the ego, the profile, the wall, the permanent monument to who you wanted people to think you were. It was a collection of frozen snapshots, a rigid identity. But the new generation has intuited something much more profound. They have moved toward the ephemeral. They prefer the story that vanishes in 24 hours, the short-form video that captures a fleeting mood, and the raw, unedited photo dump. They are realizing, perhaps without even knowing it, what the ancients always knew, that life is a flow, a wiggly process, not a collection of postage stamps stuck in an album. This shift toward authenticity, away from the plastic perfection of the early 2000s, is a psychological rebellion of the highest order. The peer-reviewed literature is finally starting to catch up to this. In a fascinating study published in Computers in Human Behavior in 2022, researchers found that social media authenticity is now a primary mediator of subjective well-being. When a young person stops performing and starts simply being on their feed, the digital space ceases to be a prison of comparison and becomes a playground of expression. But there is a catch. There is always a catch when you try to bottle the lightning of human connection. We have created a system of variable rewards, a digital slot machine that plays with the very chemistry of our brains. The Pew Research Center noted in their 2022 report that 95% of teens now have access to a smartphone, and nearly half of them say they are online almost constantly. Now, from a certain point of view, one might say this is a nightmare of distraction. But from another, it is the birth of a new kind of collective consciousness. You see, these young people are using these distractions to organize global movements in the blink of an eye. They are using the algorithm not just to consume, but to subvert. They are the first generation to truly understand that the self is not just this skin-encapsulated ego, but a node in a vast, vibrating field of information. As scholars writing in the Journal of Youth and Adolescence have observed, this digital citizenship allows for a type of identity exploration that was physically and geographically impossible 50 years ago. They are trying on hats, playing with masks, and discovering that the I is much larger than they were told. Yet, we must be careful. If you try to define yourself solely by how many likes you receive, you are defining yourself by a shadow. You are trying to drink water from a mirage. The challenge for the new generation, and for all of us, is to play the game of social media without forgetting that it is a game. To use the mask, but not to become the mask. We are moving toward a future of spatial computing and augmented realities, where the line between the real and the virtual will disappear entirely. In that world, the only thing that will matter is the quality of our presence. Are we using these screens to hide from the void, or are we using them to dance with it? The new generation is currently writing the answer to that question, one post, one video, and one heartbeat at a time. They are learning that the screen is not a barrier, but a bridge, provided you remember who is crossing it. If you believe the digital world is a separate thing, you are lost. But if you see it as a grand cosmic extension of the human nervous system, then you can begin to play the game with a bit of grace. Now you see, if you followed me this far, you'll realize that what this new generation is doing is, in essence, an intuitive, though perhaps unconscious, form of Zen in the digital age. But you might object, Zen is about sitting still under a tree. Social media is about buzzing and beeping and jumping from one thing to another. Yes, from a purely historical viewpoint, that might be true. But Zen is not about sitting still. Sitting still is merely a tool for Zen. Zen is fundamentally about direct experience. It is about being fully present in the flowing process of the moment, without getting caught by the ego's desire to cling or categorize. It is what we might call the art of effortless presence. Look again at the shift away from the static profile page toward the vanishing story. Look at this preference for the unedited photo dump. What are they seeking? They are seeking authenticity, the quality of being real, without performance. And that, my friends, is the heart of Zen. Zen is about seeing things as they are, not as you are told they should be. In this digital landscape, they are stripping away the curated mask of the early 2000s to find the radical, unfiltered vulnerability of the now. Research published in Computers in Human Behavior, 2022, actually bears this out, suggesting that authenticity is a primary mediator of well-being online. When you find the courage to be vulnerable, you are simply being, and that is the state of Zen. The flow of a 15-second TikTok video, with its rapid rhythm and fleeting impact, is a modern metaphor for the ephemeral self. It is there, it is experienced, and it is gone, like a footprint in the water. We find a further connection to Zen when we consider the algorithm itself, this powerful, invisible force that governs what we see. We often speak of it like a dragon to be slain, a monster that distracts us with a relentless dopamine loop. And indeed, the Pew Research Center's 2022 data showing that nearly half of all teens are online almost constantly reflects the power of that beast. But what if we looked at the algorithm not as an enemy, but as a mirrored surface? The core of Zen training often involves meditating upon the nature of consciousness itself. The algorithm is the ultimate mirror. It shows us exactly what we are focusing our attention on. If we are anxious, it reflects anxiety back to us. If we are seeking wisdom, it offers pathways to wisdom. The task, then, is not to fight the algorithm, but to observe our relationship to it. This generation is developing a type of digital mindfulness. They are realizing, like a Zen monk observing his own wandering mind, that you do not achieve clarity by silencing the digital noise, but by changing your posture toward that noise. They are learning to play the game without becoming the game.